And so I think the key to having a morning routine, and morning routines are critical.
That's the problem with achievers.
I think the journey of your whole life is figuring out how to truly like and love yourself.
Rise and shine, it's espresso time. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I am not a morning person. But when you start your day with a powerful routine that inspires you, like watching one of these videos, it can change your life. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee, know that I believe in you, and get ready for a shot of espresso from Mel Robbins.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso, keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
Here's the thing about morning routines. I think morning routine envy is a real thing. And I do believe that a lot of people lie about their morning routines. I think lying about your morning routine is a real thing. I think pretending you have the perfect morning routine is a real thing. I'm about, when I'm home, I'm almost 80% in my morning routine. I get it done because it's super simple.
Right, so I mean, I think I need a simple one.
Yes. And when I'm traveling, I almost never get the whole thing done because there's too many excuses. And so I think the key to having a morning routine, and morning routines are critical because how you start your day has a massive proven impact on how your day turns out. There's one piece of research that I think is really profound. And this comes from Sean Anker. I talked about this yesterday, but I'm gonna tell you this too, Susie. If you consume 3 minutes, just 3 minutes of negative news, of negative television, of negative emails, maybe stressful emails from work or stressful texts from friends, you have more than a 50% chance 8 hours later to say you had a bad day. And the reason why is because of what consuming that kind of information does to your mind. It literally sets your mind up to be on the lookout for things going wrong. And so the reason why a morning routine is actually so important is because, number one, it determines what your priority for the day is. And we also know based on research that your mood in the morning, it impacts your productivity all day long.
The most important part of a morning routine is how you feel about yourself. It's the number one thing that people do not pay attention to that matters the most is how do you feel about yourself when you're done your morning routine. Nobody wakes up perfect. Nobody wakes up full of energy. Yes, ready to go. I can't believe today is another day. What a day to be alive. I'm so grateful. Like nobody. Mel Robbins, Evan Carmichael, Tony Robbins, nobody. The difference between where most people are at and the people who have success is that they demand that they show up. And they create that through the routines and the habits, which is your morning routine. It's the easiest way to just get started. So you go from being tired and having stuff in your eyes and lines on your face and rolling out of bed to then feeling inspired, motivated, ready to take on the day. How do you do that? Well, you have to find the thing that actually makes you feel powerful, inspired, motivated, confident, and ready to go. And most people just go through the motions. And I'm talking to the achievers now. Most of America, most of the world doesn't have a morning routine at all. They fall into their day, they wake up like an accident, and they start falling into what other people want them to do for the day. Like most people wake up and just immediately go to their phones, see the crisis, and they're rushing off to go work on somebody else's dream. They wake up, drive to a job that they hate, to work on building somebody else's dream. That's most people. You guys watching this, you're probably more on the achiever side. You probably have some kind of morning routine. You're probably doing more than your friends and the people around you. The challenge with achievers and the morning routine is most of the time you're going through the motions to just check the box and feel like I got it done, as opposed to actually getting the feeling. The most important part of a morning routine is the feeling. So I had, on my tour, I had a woman in Albuquerque, New Mexico, talk about morning routines. And she asked me what mine was. And I told her what mine was, but mine doesn't matter. What matters is what you're doing. And so I asked her, what do you do in your morning routine? Well, the first thing I do every day is I pray. Okay, great, so you pray. And let me ask you an honest question. I need you to be honest right now. This is important for me, for you, for everybody here. How many times when you're doing the prayer, when you've done the same prayer so many times, when you're going through the prayers, how many times are you just saying the words? Because you know the words, you've memorized them, you say them a million times. How many times are you just saying the words? And how many times you actually feel the deep connection? How many times you actually feel the power flowing through you? And I forget what the number was. It says 40%, something like, where she actually feels the power. Like, that's the problem. That's the problem with achievers. You are going through the motions of your morning routine without ever having a feeling. So that you finish your morning routine, whether it's 10 minutes, an hour, 4 hours, however long your morning routine needs to be, if you don't feel confident, alive, bold, powerful at the end of your morning routine, then your morning routine isn't working. I don't care that you check the box of having done your prayers or watched that video. The number of people who watch a video, but then you're doing it while you're making your bed or brushing your teeth or eating breakfast or whatever, you're not ever really intentional about watching a video. That's great that you can check the box of saying you watched the video, but you didn't get the feeling, so it doesn't matter. If you don't feel more bold, powerful, confident, ready to take on the day at the end of your morning routine, then your morning routine is broken and needs to be fixed. And it's either adding something new in that actually makes you feel that way, or just doing the thing that you already know works, but with more intention. So that's what the women need to do, is go back and fix their morning routine, just with more intention. We often compare ourselves to other people and their morning routines, the morning routine envy, and say, well, they're doing it, so I should be doing it like that. I should be working out like The Rock 4 hours a day. Well, that's probably not what you want to be doing. The key is figuring out what makes you happy. What is the life that you want to live? Understand that your routines really are set up for you to have the habits to follow through on success that you're looking for, right? Success is habits. Success is what you do on a daily basis. And your morning routine sets you up for that. So how do we actually then create a morning routine that works? Right? Let me get practical and move from just inspiring to some tips that you can actually go off and accomplish. Step number 1, the most important thing. What makes you feel the belief in yourself? Of all the things that you do, that you've tried, that you've done, what makes you feel the most belief in yourself? Maybe it's watching a video like this. It's why I designed these videos, to try to be a part of your morning routine. I'm honored for anybody who is using these videos as that, so thank you. But whether it's these videos, whether it's reading the book, whether it's meditation, prayer, working out, getting in nature, petting your cat, like, what is the thing that makes you feel belief in yourself, that you're capable of more, that today can be a great day? Because don't have the expectations of you waking up feeling great. You won't. You're not going to wake up and like, yes. But what is the thing that you do the most that has led to you feeling that level of belief? And you can string together a couple. Like, when I do this and this and this and this, great. This becomes a seed of your morning routine. So make that list. Step number 2, is there a sequence to them? What's the one thing that when you just start doing that thing, it kickstarts everything else? So that's why making the bed is something for a lot of people. It's not that making the bed actually gets you feel motivated. It's that you're the kind of person who makes the bed. And then it's what happens next. Is that when you make the bed, you're more likely to then do the next thing. You're picking something simple as the first step, not because of it actually doing anything to make you feel great. It's that it makes you do the next step, and the next step, and the next step. So making your bread, brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth, like whatever the thing is, what's the easiest part of the routine? Because working out, for example, if working out's on your list, that's hard. You might have lots of energy and excitement now, but tomorrow morning you're gonna wake up and not wanna work out. Even though logically, that working out will get you feeling inspired, hopefully not expired, inspired, motivated for the day. You feel great after a workout. You don't want to do the work in the morning. So don't make workout your first thing. Something easier that you can fall into. So making the bed, brushing your teeth, or if there's something else, drinking a glass of water. Like, you're the kind of person who drinks a glass of water in the morning. So then you follow through on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So you start stacking them. Right? So step number 1 is you make a list of the things that make you feel the belief, the courage, the motivation, the fire, and you put that into routine. But step number 2 is now we're going to order them and figure out what is the easiest, best place for me to get started on these things so that I can still follow through on everything else. So when I do that one thing, everything else cascades in order. And then step number 3 is just make it realistic. Make it realistic that you can actually do it. one of the biggest problems that people have with morning routines is you create this perfect morning routine that takes you 4 hours to do, and is unrealistic for you to actually follow through on. You'll do it for 2 days and then realize, wow, this is just not happening. I'm not doing it. And what that translates often is then, therefore you suck. Because you can't follow the routine, therefore you suck. And then the whole day gets thrown away, and the next day, and the next day, and the next week, and the next month, and nothing ends up happening until you get inspired for a new morning routine, right? So the point of trying on other people's morning routines or getting some ideas is really just to figure out what works for you. For example, the whole idea of writing in a journal. Journaling just doesn't do it for me. I've tried it a whole bunch of times. I used to feel bad about myself that journaling didn't work. Like, why doesn't it work for me? What's wrong with me? Why don't I feel better after journaling? My hand gets tired. I can't read my own handwriting. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. So after hearing for how many people it worked, the work. Okay, I committed. I'm gonna do morning pages, and I started writing whatever comes to my mind. And if I didn't know what to write, I would write. I don't know what to write. I'm just writing what comes to my mind, and having the freedom just to write that stuff down. But after evaluating, I realized I feel no better coming out of this morning routine than I did going in. And if that's the result for you, it doesn't matter that Evan Carmichael does it, or Mel Robbins does it, or Gary Vee does it, or whoever does it. It's not working for you. Great. You could tweak it, test it again, try something different. And if it's still not working for you, abandon it and go do something else, and don't feel bad that it's not working for you. It's fantastic. Go find a thing that is. Just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. Just because that hat fits beautifully in somebody else doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. Maybe you shouldn't wear hats ever. Right? So, step one, go back to figuring out what are all the things that you love doing that make you feel bold, confident, alive. The goal of your morning routine, again, is to make you feel bold, powerful, confident, alive, ready to take on the day. 2, you sequence them to figure out what's the order. How can you start with the easiest thing that when you do that thing, everything else falls in place? And then 3, make it realistic. Make it realistic that it's something that you can stick to, that you can do, that will fit into your life. It doesn't require superhuman effort to wake up and do every day. That if you're traveling or something ends up happening, you can mostly stay consistent on it, right? Make it realistic for your life and what you're doing. Because when you can start your day with the expectation of not having energy, right? You don't put the fake expectation of you having to wake up with tons of energy, but then creating a structure for yourself that will bring the energy forward. If you can imagine for the next year, wake up, have no energy, do something that will give you energy to show up more confidently in your life for the day ahead. Imagine how much of a change that will make in your life. If you spent a year doing that, waking up, little energy, waking up like you normally do, and then after your routine, after doing a couple things, whatever they are for you, being bold, powerful, confident, alive, how does your whole life change? How does your business change? How does your career change? How do your relationships change? All of it, because you chose to show up with intention by following those 3 simple steps. Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? The science says that when you just watch a video, you get motivated, you get inspired, you have a 35% chance of following through on your goals. 35%! That's not enough! That's not enough just to get motivated. Believe Nation, we're here, you're here. Today matters, you're an action taker. When you commit to a plan of action of when and how you're gonna follow through, when you write it down, you have a 91% chance of following through. And when you commit publicly to somebody else, it jumps to 95% chance. From 30-something% to 95% chance of you following through. Believe Nation, we need to make this happen. So question of the day, your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action specific for the next week. Put it down in the comments below, and I'm gonna show on screen sometime next week to celebrate you. Also, if you want to have more self-love, self-confidence, self-belief, I've designed a special free training to help you get it. The science is it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to develop a new habit. And I want that for you. I want you to develop the habit of self-belief, self-confidence, self-love. So for the next 254 days, I'm going to send you a link by email to an unlisted video to get on for free. It's in the description below. Go check it out.
You're always going to need to push yourself. You're always going to need to parent yourself. If you didn't give a shit what anybody else thought, What's the thing you would love to be doing with your life? You have this behavior pattern where you get angry. You have this behavior pattern where you snap. You have this behavior pattern where you yell and you get upset and you make people wrong and you don't mean to. If you are somebody who's ever said to yourself, I wish I could stop yelling, or I wish I could just snap, I could stop snapping. This video is absolutely unbelievable, okay? And the reason why is I explained this research that was so mind-blowing for me. It's called Ghosts in the Nursery. A lot of the patterns that you have that you don't have control over are patterns from your childhood, and they are there because when you were a kid, you experienced people in your life that were tense. Did you ever have a parent that was a yeller? Did you ever have a teacher that was a yeller, or a coach that was a yeller? And secretly in your little kid body, whenever your mom or dad would yell, or your coach would yell, or your teacher would yell, or your grandmother or grandfather would yell, you would feel tense, right? You would feel nervous. You would feel on edge. Of course, that's how we all feel, right? Well, here's the reason why you might have an issue, like I used to have an issue, where I would yell at my kids and then I'd feel terrible about it. I'd snap at my husband and then I'd feel terrible about it. Psychologists, and then I would say to myself, I'm not doing that again, I'm not doing that again, but I wouldn't have the ability to end it. Psychologists call this ghosts in the nursery. It means that any situation where you start to feel tense or you start to feel stressed out, guess what happens? Your body remembers what it was like when you were little to feel tense and stressed out. And what were the adults doing around you when you felt that way? They were snapping. They were yelling. And now here you are repeating the pattern. And you don't know why. And you feel guilty. And I'm explaining this to you because it wasn't until I thought, holy cow, like I know I don't want to snap at my husband. I know I don't want to take my anger from work out on my family. Why can't I stop this? That's the reason why. It's because it's a pattern that you remember from being a kid, that the adults around you were snapping or yelling or being mean anytime, and when they were, you felt tense and stressed out. So now that you're an adult, when you're tense and stressed out, you repeat the behavior that you witnessed. Crazy, right? So how do you stop it? Well, the first step to stopping anything is to actually understand what you're dealing with. Now that you know you're dealing with a pattern, now all you need to do is basically say, okay, I'm going to put a practice in place that's going to interrupt this pattern. What's the practice? Well, a really good one is before you walk in the house at the end of the day, if you're stressed out, take 5. Take 5 deep breaths. Like reset your mood, reset your energy before you walk in the house, and you'll be surprised by how much nicer you are to the people around you. Another thing that you can do, and this one's not so fun, is you can train your partner, your kids, your roommates, your family, that if you're trying to get a hold of how you bring stress home, you can train them to say to you, hey, don't take your work stress out on me. When somebody that you care about says that to you, it's a humbling experience. And the person that says it the most in my life is my son, Oakley. The youngsters seem to love to cross-check the adults. So be careful with taking that advice. I think that the work that we all have to do, every single one of us, whether you bulldoze, whether you people please, whether you avoid conflict, whether you're impulsive, whether you yo-yo your decisions, whatever it is that is your pattern, the constant trashing yourself. I think the journey of your whole life is figuring out how to truly like and love yourself. Here's another massive insight. So I always think about business as levels, right? And I also realize that as the media landscape or the particular vertical or industry that you're building a business in is changing, that is a constant, and it's something that you can't control, right? You just cannot control the things that are happening in the world around us, but you can always control what you're thinking and what you're doing in response to it. So all of my work centers inside this gap between what's happening in your life and in your work and what your reaction is to it, and how you can't control the things that are going on around you, but you can always control what your reaction is. And that gap there, that's about 5 seconds long. And you start to understand that you can change how you think, you can change your habits, you can change how you lead, you can pivot and change even the philosophy of your company. And you can do it through the decisions that you're making and managing your reactions. You will become unstoppable. So 3.5 years ago, I got into the speaking business because of the popularity of that TEDx talk that I gave. And that first year I did, I think it was like 27 speeches. The next year I did 87. Last year I did 121. I was the most booked female speaker in the world. This year I've capped it at 80, and here's why. I realized, just like you may be realizing in your business, whatever your business is, that there are aspects of your business that you love and that energize you, and there are aspects of your business that are depleting as hell and that are old and that are tired, and that if you continue in that lane, you're going to end up 10 years from now in a place that you don't want to be. It's so important for you to pay attention to what's energizing you about the landscape around you and about your own business, because that's the secret to seeing around corners. And so the corner that I was seeing around is that as an entrepreneur, even though it's wildly lucrative to do what I do just on the speaking platform, I mean, anybody can do the math on 121 speeches, right? And the amount of money that I get paid to show up and deliver a 1-hour talk, and realize there's a lot of money. Here's the problem. It's a terrible business because you can't scale it other than raising your price or raising the number of times you do it. And guess what else? You have to show up. And I can't sell it. So I found myself in a situation where I had built a multi-million-dollar business, highly profitable, and it was depleting the hell out of me, and I can't really scale it, and I can't sell it. Terrible position to be in an entrepreneur. So I made a decision that what was it, Bo, that actually energizes me about my business? And I answered it with the first question. It's hearing from people. I would rather answer comments on Instagram all day long than stand in a stadium with 5,000 people in it. I get more from the one-to-one connection. That's what fuels me. And so I had this light bulb moment, paying attention, being clear that, wait a minute, I don't want to build the biggest speaking platform, and I don't want to build a coaching business. I want to build a content company. I want to go back to my roots and build a media company. And so with that insight, I now have to change, right? Because the kind of businesswoman that runs a multi-million dollar speaking business where it's just you and your speaking management firm and your travel folks and your logistics people and maybe your social media manager. That's who's on the team. The kind of leader that runs that kind of team is very different than the kind of leader that is going to grow a $100 million media company, that's going to syndicate content every single day, that is going to own what she's doing, that's going to build Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn as my personal ABC, CNBC, Fox. And this is what I want you to understand about the story. And that is this. In order to get to the next level in your business, you got to decide right now, what habits do you have as a leader that you have to change now? Because you will not see around the corner. You will not engineer that next quantum leap unless you personally change. And so one of the reasons why I've gone from being the most successful female, book speaker on the speaking circuit to launching the #1 book on all of the self-publishing platform for Amazon and one of the most read books in the world and selling like gangbusters still, is because I am constantly innovating myself. I know that I am the single biggest problem in my company. And if I don't constantly pivot and evolve how I lead and what I'm focused on, I'm going to be the blockade. And so, stop looking at what everybody else is doing, stop micromanaging the team, and ask yourself, 2 years from now, when you think about where you want your company to be, What habit do you have to change right now? Have you ever heard the term attention economy? If you haven't heard it, you're going to start hearing it a lot because that's what we live in right now. It means that people and companies make money when they have your attention. And in the world of internet, technology, social media, your attention is for sale. And what I want to do in today's mentoring session is I want to shift your attitude about how you value your own attention. So, got a simple question for you. Do you use a phone or a computer to make money or to improve your life? Or does the phone use you to make money? Oh, look at this. I lifted it up and it started playing a video. Check it out. It's on Facebook right now. Every time you are on your laptop and you go onto a laptop and you start scrolling mindlessly through Facebook, someone else is making money. You ever thought about that? Like, I'm gonna just scroll through Facebook right now. Ooh, here's a post about yoga tights I don't need. Oh, and here's something from BuzzFeed about cute group photo of 23 baby pandas trying to make. You know who's making money right now? Whoever made this video. And so is BuzzFeed, and so is Facebook. But I'm not. They're making money off my attention. And as I keep scrolling, oh, here's somebody that's doing something related to the news. And here's another thing. Ooh, chocolate chip peanut butter cup lasagna cake. Am I making money? Am I improving my life by... No. But guess what? Tasty Video is, and so is Melissa's Southern Style Kitchen, who sponsored this post. So why am I pointing this out to you? I'm pointing it out to you because the engineers at Facebook, the engineers at every website, they understand something. They understand that the longer that you spend on their website or reading their emails or clicking their stuff, the more money they're going to make. See, you and I are up against a massive amount of technology and people that want to trick us into giving them our attention. There's a reason why Facebook has an algorithm where they put things in your news feed that you like. It's because research shows that you'll actually stay longer. And how does somebody make money in the attention economy? Well, they make it by grabbing your attention. So I want you to consider something. Today, I want you to be really mindful about your attention. I want you to be mindful about how you're using your phone and your computer. Are you using it to get ahead and to make more money and to do the things that are important to you? Or are they using you to make a buck? As you're going about your day, just notice. Am I picking up my phone to use it to improve my life or make my goals happen? Or am I picking up my phone and letting somebody else use me to make money? In order to make it stick, go brick by brick. One of the things that's interesting about having big dreams and big goals is that oftentimes the fact that the goals and the dreams that we have are so big, it makes them really, really difficult to achieve because you spend so much time thinking about how big the idea or the dream is that you become paralyzed in the moment around taking action. How do you build a house? By laying a foundation, brick by brick by brick. You go one small brick at a time. And it's exactly the same thing for your goals, by the way. So if you think about where you're at in this moment and you think about the path that will take you forward to your big dreams or to this change that you want to make. And I'm going to use the eating program as my example because this is daunting to me. I can come up with a million reasons right now, just like I'm sure you can come up with a million reasons why you can't run a marathon, you can't do the singing telegram business, you can't take nature pictures for a living, you can't be more connected to your husband, which is what Leanne wants, you can't launch that aromatherapy business. I can't possibly do a structured eating program with a scale right now because I travel too much, because I'm too busy, because I'm lazy, because I'm not deliberate like my bracelet. Remember my intent bracelet? I'm reminding myself to be deliberate, which is probably why I'm thinking about this program. The path between where I'm at and where you want to get to is the same. It is a brick path, and it is comprised of a ton of little bricks that come together to take me forward. And so when you think about a goal or you think about a dream as a million little bricks that come together and lay a path forward, that's the way visually you can break down your goals. And so for me, you know what that one brick could be today? It could be asking Chris or my brother-in-law for the phone number of the person. Not even making the call, people. I'm talking about breaking it down to one brick. So I will get that phone number and I will write it down in my little red book, or I will write it down in my 5-second journal. And that way I will have the number. And guess what the brick is going to be tomorrow? The brick tomorrow is going to be to call the guy, right? And make an appointment. And then the next brick might be to read a little bit. And so the key is going brick by brick to make it stick. Because if you think you can lay the whole path between where you're at and where you want to go right now, you're nuts. So in the TED Talk, I cited this statistic that I had read years ago, and that is that a scientist had calculated the odds of you and me being born. And when you think about just even the sexual act of your parents in a lifetime relationship, the number of times they would actually be intimate, the amount of sperm that go, the odds of one egg and one sperm, and then you throw in the DNA and the uniqueness of your DNA structure. Some scientists calculated all of those odds and figured out that the odds of you being you, who you are, born the day that you were born, to the parents that you have, with the DNA structure that you have, given all the other variables that could have changed something, the odds are 1 in 400 trillion that you are you. And so what that means to me is that you're meant to be here, that there is a reason why you were born, and the journey of your life is to figure it out. And I think it's actually simple. I think that life is very simple. And we complicate it because we have brains that can tell stories, and we have bodies that can sense danger. And so we overcomplicate things. And the purpose of your life is to listen to your heart and soul and to follow it and to express the highest version of you, not the self-doubt, not the anxiety, not the fears, not the pettiness, not the frustrations, but to actually have the courage to be fully expressed as like, it sounds stupid, but as a great human being, to have the courage to be kind, to have the courage to be patient, to have the courage to cheer for other people, and to have the courage to tune into that wisdom that's inside of you and lean into it. Follow the things that pique your curiosity. Do more of the that actually expands your heart and expands the amount of energy in your body. And slowly but surely, if you align all your decisions and the things that you spend time on and the people that you spend time on with the things that naturally energize you, your whole life will experience a shift. If your friend is facing a problem, when you have to make decisions on behalf of your friend, you tend to think from multiple perspectives, you think about multiple outcomes, and ultimately you make a much better decision. What they found in research, though, is if they put you in the exact same situation, facing the exact same thing that your friend is, you're not able to be so objective because you're emotional, and you don't make that great a decision. What's the conclusion? Well, when you make decisions for other people, you're great. When we make decisions for ourselves, decisions that can be emotional, we're not so good at it. That's where the power of objectivity comes in. It's the ability to make a decision from a third party's perspective. Let me explain. So if you're facing a really important decision and you can feel yourself getting emotional, maybe you're thinking about asking for a raise or changing your career or changing your major or ending a relationship or starting a relationship, whatever it may be, if it's something that is emotional for you, you're going to have a hard time thinking about all the options, and you're going to be really attached emotionally because maybe you're concerned about the people who may be impacted by your decision. Maybe you're managing that somebody's going to be disappointed or hurt by what you need to do for you. This is when the power of objectivity is really important. Pick somebody that you really admire. I mean, it could be somebody like a Bill Gates or a Richard Branson or an Oprah Winfrey, or maybe you have a mentor. And stop yourself and ask, what would Oprah do in this situation? What would Richard Branson do in this situation? What would your mentor do in this situation? Bringing that level of third-party objectivity will yank you out of your body and your emotions, and it will help you give yourself the perspective that you need and the distance from your emotions so that you can actually assess your options and make the best decision for you. What would Mel do if Mel were making the decision, the best decision? You know, there's a really interesting example of somebody who did this in sports, and at the time, he actually got a lot of flack for it. It was LeBron James. Now, LeBron James, as you know, played for the Cleveland Cavaliers for a really, really long time, and he's arguably one of the best basketball players to ever hit the NBA. So he made this announcement that he was going to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers, where he had been playing forever, had rabid fans, and he was going to leave them and go to Miami.
Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
He was giving an interview to ESPN, and what he said was this. He said, LeBron James needs to do what's best for LeBron James. Now, people kind of laughed at him because it's a funny way to say the sentence, but this guy's really smart. He was leveraging the power of objectivity. Mel Robbins needs to learn how to do what's best for Mel Robbins, and you need to learn how to do what's best for you. Here's your new definition of passion. Passion is simply energy. That's all that it is, okay? Passion is what you feel when you are energized and excited about what you're doing, okay? I want you to think about that for a minute. I want you to think about a moment in time when you felt incredibly passionate about something, okay? And why don't you in the comments tell me where are you watching from, and tell me about a moment in time when you felt incredibly passionate about what you were doing, about where you were, about the people that you were with. Describe that moment for me, because when you start to really investigate passion as energy, this is what you're going to discover. Those moments when you were super passionate, like I'm sure my kids would write down when they're doing community theater with all their friends. I would write down whenever I'm doing any kind of creative project with my team, I'm incredibly energized. Whenever I'm doing group exercise stuff, climbing a mountain, doing a 5K race, doing some sort of walkathon, I'm incredibly energized by that. Whenever I'm doing some sort of creative project, incredibly energized by that. Whenever I'm working with our video team, incredibly energized by that. Whenever I am coaching someone or giving advice, I am incredibly energized by that. And so what I want you to understand is that if you look back on your life, you have had moments where you have felt passion. Now, I'm being very deliberate in how I'm talking this morning on Coffee Talk because passion is a huge topic for so many of you. And you've been so focused on trying to figure out what job is going to make me passionate. What job is my passion? What is my purpose on the earth? I'm going to tell you what your purpose on earth is right now. Your purpose on earth is to figure out how to align your life so that you feel more energized and excited by it. That's it. And it begins with you following the energy and following your natural enthusiasm. You're not going to think your way to passion. You can't think your way to finding something that you feel in your heart. It doesn't work that way. You got to feel your way into it. It's inside of you. Do you understand? There's no passion out there somewhere. The passion is in here. And so what you have to do first is you've got to stop thinking that you're going to find it somewhere. And you've got to realize that passion is about unlocking something that's already in you. If you're somebody that suffers from anxiety, first of all, here's what you need to know. It's not a disease. Period. It's not a disease. Here's what you need to understand. Anxiety always begins with a worry. Always. It begins with a thought that is triggered by something. So if you suffer from anxiety, you wake up in the morning and your mind spins, you lay in bed at night and your mind spins, you walk into work and you feel anxious in your body, I want you to write down all the things that trigger you to feel anxious. Interestingly, another major trigger is being home or going home and that moment right before your partner walks in the door. If you feel anxious when your partner's about to walk in or you're about to walk into your own home, that is a major signal that you're in the wrong relationship, that there is something incredibly off and you either need to get into counseling, but that is one that we hear a lot about.
Wow.
Because you're walking into a situation that feels uncertain.
Yeah.
A lot of people, by the way, had parents that were abusive or parents that were yellers. So they also are experiencing ghosts from the childhood of it's 5 o'clock, dad's about to come home and pour a drink, and everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
So write down the triggers, okay? Because having kind of the triggers ahead of time will help you come up with a plan for how you're going to catch yourself when your mind defaults to the automatic ways that it thinks. Then what I want you to write down next to the trigger is, what exactly are you worried about? So having the trigger and then what do I worry about? I worry that my boss is going to yell. I worry that my partner's going to yell. I worry that I'm going to get in trouble. I worry that, my friends are going to laugh at me. I worry that I'm going to be whatever it may be. Then what you're going to do is you're going to write down what I call an anchor thought. An anchor thought is something that weighs you down and it makes you excited. And so here's how the strategy works with the 5-second rule. The next time you're in a situation, and let's just use the example of pulling into your own driveway or your own apartment, and maybe you've got issues with your boyfriend or girlfriend or your roommate, and that makes you unsettled. The second you pull in and you feel the trigger, you're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because I want to interrupt your mind from going into I don't like, what if I, and then you're going to drop in the anchor thought of the last time that you and your roommate really got along well, or the last time that you stood up for yourself and it went fine. And
or your puppy.
Yeah, or a puppy or whatever. And you're going to say, I'm so excited to deal with this.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get out of your car, even though your body is going to feel a little unsettled and your mind's going to race. Go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you start to be like, but what? And then walk in the door. And what I'm teaching you to do is to not let your mind hijack you.
Right.
And it's very important because there's a very tight nexus between your habit of worrying and spiraling your thoughts and the way your body starts to amp up. And so we want to settle your mind so we don't agitate your body. You got it?
Yeah.
And so if you start to practice that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and for you 18-year-olds that are watching this, use this with the nerves that you have about what you're going to do with your life. Use this when you catch yourself worrying about college applications, because worrying about the applications won't get them done. Worrying about what your friends are doing won't make it happen. Worrying about what you're going to be doing when you're 25 or how you're going to make money, it's not going to help you make money right now. It's only going to make you miserable.
Right.
So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cut off that habit.
Yeah.
That'll stabilize your body, and then go to a vision of you at the age of 25, driving a car that you think is cool and hanging out with a friend that's cool and saying to yourself, I'm so excited because I know I'm going to figure it out. Because you don't need to worry about that right now.
Yeah.
But it becomes a habit that destroys your year this year. If you're not facing a breakup personally in your romantic life, you still want to pay attention because somebody that you care about might be. And this is advice that you can give to them. Also, breakups happen in your career. You might be breaking up with a work situation. You might be breaking up with a friend. I know a lot of us are working hard to draw boundaries and to surround ourselves with more positive people. And we get questions every day about how you do that. And so breaking up with friends can be just as traumatic as breaking up with somebody that is a romantic partner. I have 3 steps to getting over a breakup that I'm going to explain in a minute. But first, I want to explain some research to you to help you put what you're feeling into context. Because what you're going through when you break up with somebody or you're broken up with is you literally go through withdrawal. I'm not kidding. And yeah, I'm using the word withdrawal. Where else do you hear the word withdrawal? You hear the word withdrawal when you hear about people withdrawing from a drug. And that's a lot similar to what you're going through. In fact, there was a study done by neuroscientist Lucy Brown who found that, like drug abuse, romantic love begins with that euphoric feeling. It's a high, right? And when the drug leaves your body or the romance leaves your life, what are you left with? You're left with the withdrawal, which is a craving for it. Validate. Number 1, breakups are painful, but they don't need to lead you broken. So I want you to validate where you're at. It's great that you're asking the question. You got to have a little bit of compassion for yourself. You got to understand that you're going to be sad for a while, but please don't pour gasoline on the sadness fire. Please, please, please don't be staring at photos of your ex. Please don't be putting his or her social media face right in front of your face. It's going to make it worse. But definitely validate the sadness because you're going through a major change and it might not be a change that you wanted. Number 2, separate. This is the most important part, because the other thing that I don't think any of us realize is that when you get broken up with or you break up with somebody, you don't realize how much of your daily routine and the habits that you have and the way that you go about your day was tied to the person that you're no longer with. And so what you're not only dealing with is not only missing the person, but your whole life schedule may have just been thrown off. Maybe you two went to the same gym in the morning. Maybe you got a text in the morning from this person. Maybe you liked your little FaceTime call at work. Maybe your friend group became their friend group. And now all of a sudden that you're broken up, because you hung out with their friends all the time, you don't have that social life anymore. And so it is so important for you to recognize that you're not only facing the person being gone, but the habits that marked your day and the other people that maybe you hung out with and the things that you did with your time and the music that you listened to and the food that you ate, that those might have all been dictated by the person you were with, and those are changing too. So it's important for you to separate yourself. I think a lot of women in particular, when we get into a relationship, we tend to lose ourselves. We tend to morph into the person that we're dating. I used to do that all the time. And so now we get to the third part. As you start to think about separating, right? So you're validating where you're at, you're separating from this person. We need to get to the third part, which is celebrating you. Now that you're broken up, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to rediscover yourself, because I guarantee you, you lost a bit of yourself in that relationship. And so as you think about the way that the structure of your day has changed, what can you proactively insert that is a celebration of the things that you stopped doing? What have you been keeping yourself from doing because you were in this relationship that would celebrate you? Who are the friends or family members or colleagues that really lift you up? And how can you find more time to hang out with them? This is a time to celebrate a moment when you get to rediscover you. One of the most important things when you're in a situation where the truth, the facts are that there is more on your plate than one human being can effectively handle on his or her own, there's a really important moment where you have to surrender to the chaos that your life is for the next couple weeks. Things are going to change when summer hits. But part of what I find personally is that when I resist, and I do resist, I resist what's actually happening when that's not the way that I want things to go. And so if you start complaining or you start bringing extra weight to all of the things that are going on, it's going to make it feel even more overwhelming. And if you can bring a sense of realism to it, so I call this, and I think Sean Anker's the one that came up with this term, realistic optimism. Realistic optimism is a really powerful mindset because you're not just putting a sunny spin on a crappy situation. You're being realistic about where you are in your life right now. And you are still maintaining an optimistic point of view. And what that means is that you, when you're an optimist, you believe that your actions and your thoughts matter. You believe that you can handle what's on your plate. You believe that based on your thoughts and your actions, you can positively affect the outcome of whatever it is that you're dealing with, whether it's being wildly overwhelmed because you're a single parent, or terrified because you just got a scary health diagnosis, or you're spinning because somebody just told you they don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. Whatever it is that you're facing that's making you feel overwhelmed, first start with how important it is to be a realistic optimist. So there's a surrendering to what's so, but you're going to stay very optimistic and positive and know that everything that you think and do is in your control, and that when you know that your behavior matters, it gives you a sense of empowerment that's proven by research. Super duper important. It's also why you can have a very hard life right now and a very overwhelming life right now and still be happy. Because you know, based on being a realistic optimist, that this period will pass and you know that there are things that you can think about and do that are within your control. There's a lot of you that are running from things instead of running to things. And that's a huge difference, running from something versus running to something. And so I want you to think about that for a minute, because you don't have to move across country to change your life. And you don't have to do something drastic to experience drastic positive change. And here's the thing about running away from your problems, running away from your past. Have you ever noticed that when you run away, it tends to follow you? You know, I used to have this problem in relationships. And the reason why I had this problem is because I was a very unhappy person. I didn't like myself truly as a person until probably 4 or 5 years ago. I spent, as sad as this is, I spent the first 46 years of my life really not liking myself, really feeling like I wasn't a good person, really questioning the sanity of people that were in love with me or that were friends of mine because I had such a low opinion of myself. And it didn't matter. You know, I was guilty not of moving from one city to another, but I was guilty of moving from one person to another. That I would literally get in a relationship, I would be in a relationship for a year, and then I would start to feel that unsettled feeling. Because what happens after a year of being in a relationship? Well, you got to start working on it. It's no longer the thrill and the delight, and it's new and you're dating. Now it's just you and the person in your life. There's nothing new about it. And so all your old crap starts to show up. And that's when you got to start to do the work. And so it was about the year or the year and a half mark in almost every single relationship that I would start getting that itchy feeling. And the reason why I was getting that itchy feeling is because my past was now there. This new relationship was no longer new. And so I was no longer distracted by it. And I was going to have to deal with myself in order to be happy. And so what did I do for years? Not even just years, decades, everybody. I'm not proud to admit this, but I would literally jump out of one relationship and into another new one because another new one would distract me from the fact that I was an unhappy person. True story. And I think a lot of you who are unhappy with yourselves are looking to move jobs or looking to move the city that you live in, or you're looking to change your relationship. And the problem isn't where you live. The problem isn't your job. The problem isn't the person that you're with. The problem is how you feel about yourself. Everything that I have done since we launched the 5-Second Rule book was in reaction to things that were coming to me. So I never sat out and said, hey, the 5-Second Rule audiobook has been a complete record breaker. We clearly have an audio audience. Let's go pitch Audible. Right. Audible came to me, which is fantastic. I always dreamt about having a talk show, but I wasn't out pitching one. Sony came to me. In fact, the only reason why we got into courses, online courses, and we now have more than 500,000 people that have taken our courses online, was because Success Magazine came to me and said, let's do a course together.
I remember I was there interviewing you for it.
I hated it. Because what I discovered is I hate being told what to do. And so, but that gave me the idea, we should do courses ourselves. And so this pause has made me stop and go, well, what do I really want to do? And the truth is I want to go and make the biggest possible impact that I can. Mm-hmm. And I want to collaborate with more people. Yeah. And I want to do events. And I don't want to be the CEO. I'm a terrible leader, horrible leader, the worst actually, because I'm amazing at coaching. I'm amazing at creating. I'm amazing at reacting. I'm terrible at managing people. I am terrible at managing a project. I have ADD. I have dyslexia. I'm a bulldozer when I get anxious. Mm-hmm. I hate similar, it when people. I know we are. That's why we'd kill each other if we were roommates or business partners. But I think understanding yourself is really important. And so there's a couple things that I've decided. Number one, I'm going to consciously create the next chapter.
And what is that?
And Well, I'm still in the middle of doing it.
Yeah. But you want
Because
to do
I-
events, you want to do these things you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. And I want to collaborate more with a wider audience of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to build a brand bigger than Mel Robbins.
Yep.
I don't want it to just be me. I want to build a platform-based business that reaches more people. Because here's the thing that got me through kind of the loss of the talk show and the way that I think about things, that I hope helps if you're listening and you're kind of struggling with something. I believe, and I went into the talk show saying this to myself, because there's a 99% chance, based on the history of people that have tried to have a daytime talk show, that it was going to fail. And I went in there saying, I'm not doing this because I expect to have a successful talk show. I'm going to put 1,000% into it so that I have no regrets and I wouldn't change a thing. But I'm going into this because I know that there is a skill, a person, or an experience I am meant to have that will help me for the next chapter that I can't see coming. You know, I love vision boards and gratitude journaling because they help me think about what I want and why. This journal, it's going to teach you how you make your dreams come true. I created this journaling method a couple years ago because I wanted to stop thinking about what I wanted and actually make it happen. This is simple, it's backed by science, and it's going to help you make your dreams come true with just a couple minutes every morning. Let me show you how it works. At the very top, you write down the time, place, and date. This simple trick gets you present and grounded in the moment. Now notice, this is guilt-free journaling. There are no dates printed, so if you miss a day or two, you're not behind. Next, I'm gonna give you a superpower. This, my friend, is your inner compass. Learning to read your energy is the secret to greater passion, productivity, and living with more purpose. Research from the University of Pennsylvania proves that if you boost your mood in the morning, you actually increase your productivity all day long. These next two questions will help you take control of your energy, which changes how your mind perceives tasks and will make you more confident about the day ahead. And this section right here, it's the secret to having a great day. I want you to identify one project that matters to you today. Not two, not three, just one. When you focus on just one project a day, you leverage the progress principle. It was invented at the Harvard Business School, and it will change your life and help you be more productive so you can make your dreams come true. Research proves you get more done when you focus on less. And every day, I want you to focus on just one thing. After you write down your top project, I want you to write down why this project matters to you. When you know your why, science says you're going to be more inspired and motivated to get it done. Now take that vision and make it your mission. Write down one small action that you're going to take today to move your dream forward. It doesn't matter how small it is, forward is forward. According to research, simply using this section of the journal makes you 76% more likely to go from dreaming to doing. And if you have any other thoughts about the project, here's some extra space to play around with. When you move from thinking to doing, it may make you feel overwhelmed. So let's change that attitude with a little gratitude. Studies prove that grounding yourself in something that you feel grateful for will boost your happiness and your effectiveness. Finally, I want you to write down your quitting time. Yep, you heard me right. Part of your morning routine should be deciding when you're going to stop working at night. If you feel like your wheels are spinning and you don't get anything done, if you have no balance between work and life, if you'd love to spend more time with your family and still feel like the most productive person you know, set a quitting time. This is called Parkinson's Law, and it's rocket fuel for your productivity. Now, let's go over to the next page. Everyone works differently, so this page is designed to work for you. If you love making long to-do lists and checking things off, here's the spot. If you want to plan out your day, there's a timeline on the left. And if you need a place to take notes, here's a place where you put them. So there you have it, the 5-second journal.
Why do you think that is in human beings that, if things are going bad, we won't change? If they're going good, we won't change. But it's almost like we need a massive breakdown, near-death experience, divorce, COVID, for us to see clearly to start changing.
Well, there's a really simple answer: patterns. So the thing about all human beings is that we are pattern learning machines. Mm-hmm. And if you feel stuck or broken, I guarantee you, while you feel that way, you're not. You have a pattern of behavior or a pattern of thinking that is broken. Mm-hmm. And we need to be disrupted because we love our patterns. And even people that I know, like
Even when we're in pain. Even when we're in pain, we love
well,
the pain.
pain's familiar for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like you may be listening to Lewis and I talking, and you grew up in a super chaotic household. Maybe your parents argued all the time. Maybe your dad or mom were in and out. Maybe there was a lot of fighting. Maybe there was actual abuse. I don't know what was going on, but it was chaotic as hell. And so as an adult, you have vowed to yourself, you are not going to repeat that pattern. But what ends up happening is because as a little kid, you observed, witnessed, absorbed the pattern of chaos in your nervous system, unless you go about the intentional work of breaking the pattern of chaos, you will create it in your own life because it's what's familiar. You won't understand. Why do I keep dating these assholes? Why do I go to these bosses that treat me like crap? Because you don't know what it feels like to be in a relationship with either a boss or a romantic partner or a roommate that is consistent, because for the first 18 years of your life, you lived in a state called, when's the next shoe going to drop?
Right.
And so wherever it is in your life that something is broken, there is a pattern that you don't see yet that is making you continue to stay in a broken situation. Mel, I got fired from a job I was really excited about. What should I do? Excellent question. First of all, how many of you have ever been fired from a job? Yep, I have been fired from a job, and let me tell you something. It's a kick in the teeth, doesn't it? There is nothing that feels worse in the moment than being brought into a conference room and being let go. And then how bad does it blow to pack up your stuff and to leave? It stings. It is terrible. It is humiliating. There is nothing around it. There's nothing around that feeling. Even if it's a job that you can't stand. Even if it's a job where you've been looking for another job. Even if you know in your heart that this is the biggest blessing in disguise because you didn't really like it there. You still want to be the one to rip off the Band-Aid, don't you? You want to be the one to walk in and be like, guess what, people? I found a different job. I'm out of here. So when they beat you to the punch and they tell you the truth, that this isn't working, it's not working for them, it's not working for you, and now it's time for you to leave, it is still a kick in the teeth. So I want to be clear about something. Feeling down, feeling embarrassed, feeling angry about how it was handled, even if they handled it in the way that is legal, that is normal. It's normal because it blows to be rejected. And that's exactly what happens to you emotionally when you get fired from a job. I get that because boy, oh boy, have I been there. I have been fired from jobs that I actually liked. I have been fired from jobs that I needed. And I have been fired from jobs that I viscerally hated, that I was physically sick going to work every morning. I hated it so much. And it still stinks when you're fired. So here's what I want you to do when you're fired. I want you to really just relish in how much it stinks for, I don't know, an hour. No more than 24 hours. You get to milk this puppy for free, a free dinner from your pals at night. You get to milk this and complain about it to all your friends for 24 hours. And then guess what? You got to stop complaining about it. You got to stop thinking about it because you don't have a choice anymore. The job is over, and I don't want you looking back. I want you looking forward. Now, before you look forward, though, I want you to do one of the signature things that we talk about all the time. And what is that? I want you to look for the message in the mess. What is it that you learned about yourself or about a job or a boss or a kind of work that you need to make sure you understand the message in the mess? Because when you get the emotion out of the way, guess what you always see about a job or a breakup that happens? You always see that was exactly what was supposed to happen. That job, that person, that manager, that focus, that was holding you back. And you were just too scared to take the leap. You were too worried about finances. You were worried about how it looked. I've been there. I get it. But you need to see the message in the mess because I don't want you to make the mistake and step into the exact same thing or the exact same type of job or the exact same management situation that didn't work the first time, because part of the reason why jobs don't work is it's not a fit. You see, people get fired for a lot of reasons. Some of the reasons why people get fired is because the companies are not doing well. And in that case, you want to thank your lucky stars that you're getting out now so that you can find something better. If it's not a fit, that's a more nuanced reason to get fired. But let me tell you something, if it's not a fit for the company, it wasn't a fit for you either. And so look for the message in the mess. What are you going to learn about this situation, whether there was a skill gap and you need to bring your skills up to speed so that you're not floundering your next job, or maybe it was a personality gap, that you accepted something that in your heart you knew wasn't right, but you took it because you had to or because you felt insecure. Don't make that mistake again. First of all, stop talking about passion. Stop talking about launching a business, okay? When you think about it too big, it will paralyze you. If you're lucky and you're in a position where your bills are getting paid and you have the luxury of being able to try to think about what you want to do in this next chapter, here's where I want you to start. I want you to start with what energizes you. Now, how ironic is that, given that I'm speaking at the Energetic Women's Conference here in Indianapolis today? Why am I saying energizes you? And what am I talking about when I say energize? When I say energizes you, I'm asking you, what is it that you're curious about? What is it that you feel so expanded? You feel energized. You feel kind of excited whenever you're doing it. You're in a phase when you're just trying to figure out what's your next move, of just paying attention to your curiosity, paying attention to the things that interest you. The truth is, passion is just energy. If you're passionate about something, it means you're energized when you do it. So let's reverse engineer this and let's just ask yourself a simple question. What are you curious about? What energizes you? And if you allow yourself to explore things that energize you, you, my friend, will start to find the clues about what it is that you should and could be doing. Because all the research says that if you're doing something that you like, if you're doing something that you're curious about, you're not only going to enjoy it, you're going to be really good at it. Because if you like doing it, you'll spend more time doing it, which means you're going to get better at it. Why don't you like the size you are?
Because it's unhealthy.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't believe in losing weight to be skinny. I believe in getting healthy because of how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
So if you love the size that you are and it's healthy, you should stay the size that you are.
Oh.
But if you look in the mirror and seeing your body the size that it is gives you evidence to say, I'm a piece of shit, or I'm unworthy. What do you say to yourself when you see yourself in the mirror?
All of those things.
Tell me, what is it? Let's get it out of your head and let's bring it to the light, because you feel comfortable saying this to yourself when you're alone, don't you?
It's me.
I want you to say it out loud, because it's not okay to say this stuff to yourself. What do you say to yourself that we're not going to say anymore?
I'm disgusting.
I'm disgusting. What else?
I hate the way I look.
I hate the way that I look.
I hate the way I feel.
I hate the way that I feel. Okay. What do you want? What do you deserve?
To feel good when I walk down the street.
Yes. Yes, you do. See, I think at the heart of this is a belief that you don't deserve to feel that way. So who taught you to feel that you don't deserve it? When did you start saying that to yourself, that you don't deserve it, Holly?
Maybe when I was like 6 or 7.
That's usually when it happens. So what I want you to do is I want you to leave here, and what you're going to go to war against is not your weight. You're going to go to war against the pattern in your head, okay? Because the longer you invalidate yourself, the less motivated you're going to be to change.
Yeah.
Because you're beating yourself down. So we got to start with not fixing you. You're not broken.
Mm-hmm.
You're perfect how you are, Holly. You are. I know you don't feel that way, but I feel that way.
Yeah.
It's the pattern up here
that's broken.
Yeah.
So we just want you to have a zero tolerance policy for this, like, I'm not worth it, I don't deserve it, I'm a piece of this, all that. No, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like an axe. You got that? And then you're going to come up, what can we say instead?
I can do this.
I do that. I can do this. But more important, I think it needs to be more heart-centered. I deserve to feel good.
Yeah.
I deserve to have what I want. Watch me go get it.
If you want another amazing Mel Robbins video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Happiness is not about achieving things. It's not about getting the result.
And if you feel that every day for too long, that's depression.
Journey is the reward. The work is the reward.